When Jennifer Hudson invited Simon Cowell onto her daytime talk show, audiences expected a warm reunion between two of the most memorable figures from the early seasons of American Idol. After all, Hudson herself was famously eliminated in Season 3 despite her powerhouse voice, only to rise above the setback and eventually win an Academy Award, multiple Grammy Awards, and worldwide acclaim. Cowell, who built a reputation as the sharp-tongued, brutally honest judge, has often admitted he underestimated her potential back then. Fans tuned in hoping to see mutual respect, nostalgic banter, and maybe even a few laughs about the past. What they didn't expect was an exchange so sharp that reports described Cowell as exploding during filming, leaving the studio buzzing with shock and sparking heated conversations online about what really went down between the two stars. The episode began innocently enough, with Hudson greeting Cowell warmly and joking about how intimidating he once seemed to contestants. At first, the atmosphere seemed lighthearted, with the audience applauding and cheering as Cowell gave his signature smirk and sarcastic quips. But tension began to creep in when Hudson directly brought up her elimination from American Idol in 2004. She asked Cowell whether he truly believed at the time that she lacked the potential to win, or if it was just part of the tough love persona he cultivated on the panel. That question instantly shifted the mood. Viewers in the studio noted that Cowell leaned forward, his tone turning defensive as he tried to explain that judging was about the performance in the moment, not predicting long-term stardom. Hudson pressed further, telling him that millions of fans felt she had been robbed of the recognition she deserved back then, and that his criticism carried weight that could either crush or inspire young artists. At that point, Cowell's expression hardened, and his voice grew louder. He insisted that he never intended to destroy anyone's dreams, but rather to give them the unvarnished truth as he saw it. "If I had sugar-coated things, you wouldn't have become the artist you are today," he reportedly snapped, prompting audible gasps from the crowd. Hudson responded by calmly but firmly stating that while she values honesty, the manner in which critiques are delivered matters deeply. That statement seemed to ignite the spark that set off what would soon become a fiery and unexpected back-and-forth exchange between the two. The audience was riveted as Cowell raised his voice, his trademark bluntness coming out sharper than anyone expected on daytime TV. He leaned back in his chair, crossing his arms, and challenged Hudson by saying that without criticism like his, she might not have pushed herself to the level that led her to stardom. Hudson, maintaining her poise, countered that she never credited negativity for her rise, but rather her own determination, faith, and the support of people who lifted her up. She stressed that the words judges speak to young performers can linger for years, sometimes discouraging talent instead of nurturing it. The crowd reacted with applause at her comment, which only seemed to further irritate Cowell. He quickly interjected, insisting that people confuse honesty with cruelty, and that in his eyes, he was being truthful rather than malicious. Hudson, sensing the tension escalating, attempted to soften the mood by reminding Cowell that she had moved on from those years and was proud of where her career had taken her. However, she added that her platform now allows her to encourage the next generation of artists in a way that feels constructive rather than crushing. Cowell, visibly bristling, interrupted to say that not everyone can handle the spotlight, and that if a single tough critique is enough to break someone, they are not ready for the industry. At that moment, the energy in the room became divided as some clapping in agreement with Cowell's philosophy, while others booed lightly, aligning with Hudson's call for compassion. The live audience was now part of the drama, fueling the intensity. As the debate raged on, Hudson's demeanor remained calm and measured, a stark contrast to Cowell's increasingly animated gestures. She spoke of her personal journey, emphasizing that she had to learn resilience not because of cruel feedback but in spite of it. She told the audience that her success was proof that even when people underestimate you, your belief in yourself matters most. Cowell rolled his eyes at the statement, claiming that the entertainment world is not about feelings but about results. His words carried the same sharpness that once made him the most feared judge on television. The clash of perspectives became less about the past and more about two fundamentally different philosophies of mentorship, with Hudson representing empathy and empowerment, and Cowell embodying blunt realism. Behind the scenes, producers reportedly grew nervous as the exchange veered off script. What was supposed to be a nostalgic and light-hearted segment was now dominating the show, overshadowing other planned topics. Staff whispered frantically, wondering whether to cut to a commercial break earlier than scheduled. But the host and Hudson was determined to let the conversation breathe, sensing that it was striking a chord with her audience. Cowell, on the other hand, appeared increasingly frustrated, as though he felt cornered into defending his past decisions. His voice grew sharper with every response, while Hudson maintained her steady, deliberate tone, reinforcing her point that success is not defined by one judge's opinion. The tension reached a boiling point when Hudson, with a mix of grace and firmness, asked Cowell whether he had ever regretted dismissing her on American Idol. The question lingered heavily in the air. Cowell paused, his expression tightening, before replying that he doesn't believe in regrets because every decision he made was honest in the moment. He then added, almost explosively, that contestants who want sympathy should not step onto a competitive stage. The bluntness of his statement drew gasps and even some groans from the audience. Hudson responded by saying that compassion and competition are not mutually exclusive, a line that received loud applause. The studio atmosphere was now electric, every word hanging with weight. Cowell's frustration boiled over, and this is where reports say he exploded. He raised his hands in exasperation, his voice thundering across the studio, declaring that people have rewritten history to make him the villain when, in his view, he was simply doing his job. I told the truth, he barked, and the truth is not always pretty. His outburst stunned the crowd, and even Hudson looked briefly taken aback by the intensity. However, she quickly regained composure, calmly telling him that truth can still be delivered with dignity. Her steady reaction contrasted sharply with Cowell's fiery tone, further endearing her to the audience. After the explosive moment, there was an almost uncomfortable silence. For a few beats, neither Hudson nor Cowell spoke, the audience murmuring nervously. Finally, Hudson broke the pause with a disarming smile, attempting to redirect the conversation towards celebrating how far both she and Cowell had come since those early Idol days. She invited him to reflect on the many careers that blossomed because of the platform he helped create. Cowell, still visibly tense, gave a curt nod but muttered that the show wasn't about hand-holding, it was about finding stars. His commentary ignited murmurs among the crowd, who seemed torn between admiration for his bluntness and discomfort with his harsh delivery. Hudson then shifted gears, highlighting the importance of using platforms like her talk show to uplift voices that might otherwise be silenced. She spoke about her foundation, her mentorship work, and how much joy she finds in encouraging emerging talent. The audience responded warmly, clapping and cheering. Cowell, clearly unimpressed, remarked that constant encouragement without criticism risks creating mediocrity. Not everyone is meant to be a superstar, he snapped, and telling everyone they're amazing only sets them up for failure. This blunt statement drew a mixture of boos and cheers, illustrating the polarizing effect Cowell continues to have even years after his Idol tenure. The clash between the two philosophies became the focal point of the episode. Commentators later described it as a symbolic showdown between old-school talent show toughness and the modern emphasis on positivity and inclusion. Hudson represented a generation of artists who thrived despite doubt and negativity, using her platform to advocate for encouragement and resilience. Cowell, meanwhile, remained unapologetic in his defense of harsh truth as a necessary filter for greatness. The dynamic kept the audience hooked, as if they were watching a live debate rather than a daytime talk show interview. Behind Hudson's calm words, though, was an undeniable edge. She reminded Cowell that the industry has changed dramatically since American Idol's early years, and that today's young performers often face mental health challenges magnified by social media. She emphasized that cruelty, whether intended or not, can have devastating consequences in an era where online criticism already overwhelms many artists. Cowell shot back that the industry has always been brutal, and that no amount of sensitivity training can change the harsh realities of fame. He gestured emphatically, his voice once again rising in intensity. The argument seemed to captivate viewers, who sensed they were witnessing a rare moment of unfiltered honesty between two icons with very different perspectives. Clips of the exchange later spread rapidly online, with fans dissecting every word. Some praised Hudson for standing firm and demonstrating grace under fire, while others sided with Cowell, arguing that his unapologetic stance was a refreshing contrast to what they saw as today's overly delicate culture. The buzz around the episode quickly made headlines, turning the interview into one of the most talked-about moments of Hudson's talk show to date. At one point, Hudson attempted to lighten the mood by joking about Cowell's notoriously high-waisted trousers from his Idol days. The audience laughed, briefly easing the tension. Cowell chuckled reluctantly, though his demeanor remained guarded. The levity, however, was short-lived, as Hudson once again circled back to the topic of constructive criticism. She explained that her mission is to show aspiring singers that even rejection can be framed in a way that inspires growth instead of discouragement. Cowell's smirk returned as he said that rejection itself is the best teacher, and that anyone who cannot handle it should find another career. The crowd reacted strongly, with audible oohs echoing around the studio. Hudson seized the moment, saying that while rejection is indeed part of life, mentors and leaders have the choice to either crush spirits or plant seeds of hope. She added that her career was living proof that belief in oneself can outshine doubt from others. Her comment earned a standing ovation from several audience members, further highlighting the contrasting energy between her and Cowell. The camera reportedly zoomed in on Cowell's face, which betrayed both annoyance and a flicker of reluctant respect. As the segment continued, the exchange began to resemble a duel of philosophies rather than a celebrity interview. Producers backstage debated cutting to break again, but ratings-wise, the drama was pure gold. Hudson's team knew that this unscripted clash would dominate headlines, while Cowell's fiery remarks ensured that his persona as TV's toughest judge remained intact. Both stars, knowingly or not, were delivering riveting television. Even as they disagreed, the respect underlying their shared history added layers of complexity to the spectacle. Cowell eventually softened slightly, acknowledging that Hudson's success had proven him wrong in ways he could not have predicted. He admitted that he had underestimated her potential during Idol but quickly added that his job was never to predict the future, it was to judge the performance in front of him. Hudson graciously accepted the acknowledgement but reiterated that the responsibility of a judge extends beyond one moment. She reminded him that words can echo in someone's mind long after a show ends. Her statement drew applause, leaving Cowell momentarily quiet. The quieter moment didn't last long. Cowell soon snapped back, saying that too much emphasis on feelings creates a culture of entitlement. Life doesn't hand you success because you're nice, he insisted. It rewards those who fight for it. Hudson replied that no one was asking for handouts, only for fairness and humanity in the process. This line struck a chord with the audience, many of whom applauded loudly. The exchange continued to seesaw between explosive outbursts and poignant reflections, keeping everyone on edge. As the interview neared its end, Hudson invited Cowell to reflect on the broader legacy of American Idol. She praised the show for launching so many careers and acknowledged Cowell's central role in shaping pop culture during its golden years. Cowell accepted the praise but maintained that Idol's success came from its uncompromising standards. Hudson, smiling, said that its success also came from the dreams and perseverance of the contestants, many of whom went on to prove that rejection was not the final word. The subtle tug-of-war over the show's legacy perfectly encapsulated their contrasting views. The final few minutes of the segment saw both stars attempt to find common ground. Hudson extended an olive branch by acknowledging that Cowell's tough critiques forced her to dig deeper within herself. Cowell, in turn, conceded that he admired her resilience and achievements, even if he wouldn't change the way he delivered his feedback. The mutual recognition helped ease the tension, though the audience could tell that the clash had been real and raw. After the cameras cut to commercial, insiders reported that the conversation backstage was calmer, though Cowell remained visibly agitated. He was overheard telling staffers that he felt ambushed by Hudson's line of questioning. Hudson, meanwhile, was said to be completely composed, chatting warmly with audience members and posing for photos. The contrast between their post-show demeanors mirrored the on-air dynamic, one fiery and defensive, the other comment uplifting. When the episode aired, social media exploded. Clips of Cowell's outburst trended within hours, with hashtags like #SimonExplodes and #Jennifer vs. Simon dominating timelines. Fans debated fiercely, with some praising Hudson's grace under pressure while others defended Cowell's insistence on brutal honesty. The debate spilled over into morning shows, entertainment blogs, and even mainstream news outlets, each offering their take on the fiery exchange. What had begun as a nostalgic reunion became one of the most buzzed-about TV moments of the season. In the days that followed, Cowell addressed the incident in interviews, downplaying the drama but standing firm on his philosophy. He told reporters that he respected Hudson immensely but refused to apologize for the way he judged on Idol. Hudson, when asked, simply smiled and said she was grateful for the conversation because it highlighted the importance of mentorship and empathy in entertainment. Her response earned praise for being diplomatic yet firm, further solidifying her image as a role model. Commentators noted that the clash symbolized more than just a personal disagreement. It reflected a cultural shift. Cowell represented the older guard of entertainment, where harsh critiques and tough love were considered necessary. Hudson embodied a newer approach, prioritizing compassion without sacrificing standards. Their heated exchange served as a microcosm of broader debates in society about criticism, kindness, and the evolving expectations of leadership. The episode also reignited conversations about Hudson's original elimination from American Idol. Fans revisited old clips, pointing out how even at a young age, her talent was undeniable. Many argued that the judges, including Cowell, had made a grave misjudgment. Hudson, however, remained gracious, telling her fans that every setback had been a stepping stone to her success. Her humility contrasted sharply with Cowell's defensiveness, reinforcing the dynamic that made their clash so compelling. Producers of Hudson's show were reportedly thrilled by the ratings spike. The episode drew one of the largest audiences of the season, and the viral buzz translated into millions of online views. While the heated exchange may have been uncomfortable in the moment, it proved to be a television goldmine. Cowell's explosion, far from tarnishing the show, elevated it into the cultural conversation. For Hudson, it was further evidence of her ability to command a room and steer even the most tense situations with grace. Industry insiders speculated whether the incident might open the door to future collaborations between Hudson and Cowell. Some suggested that their fiery chemistry could translate into joint projects, perhaps even a revival of a talent competition show with both of them on the judging panel. Others dismissed the idea, noting that their opposing philosophies might make long-term teamwork impossible. Regardless, the debate ensured that both stars remained at the center of entertainment discussions long after the episode aired. For viewers, the clash was more than just celebrity drama. It was an opportunity to reflect on the role of mentorship in shaping talent. Was Cowell right that brutal honesty creates resilience? Or was Hudson correct that kindness and encouragement can unlock greatness without breaking spirits? The conversation resonated with parents, teachers, coaches, and professionals in many fields, making the episode's impact broader than just entertainment. It tapped onto universal questions about how best to nurture potential. In the end, the explosive moment between Simon Cowell and Jennifer Hudson became an unforgettable piece of television history. It was not just about an old wound or a personal disagreement, but about two worldviews colliding in real time. Hudson's calm strength and Cowell's fiery defensiveness created a dramatic contrast that kept audiences glued to their screens. Whether you sided with Hudson's compassionate perspective or Cowell's blunt realism, one thing was undeniable: the encounter proved that even years later, the dynamic between judge and contestant can still spark fireworks. And in those sparks, viewers found not only entertainment but also a mirror reflecting deeper truths about resilience, criticism, and the pursuit of greatness.